This is Nina with SouthernAccents.Stampin'Up.net. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm happy to be stamping with you guys today. It is a rainy, nasty day in South Georgia, but it's a great day to be in the craft room and making some cards. I've got a special card that I'm going to make, but I wanted to start a series, just a Stampin' 101 for those of you who aren't familiar with it. I have several new people coming to my classes, and I just wanted to give an overview of stamping and card making, what it all entails. Now, Stampin' Up! First of all, has 3 different types of stamps. This is our annual catalog, and if you turn to page 3 in the catalog, it tells you the different types of stamps. There's the classic rubber stamp, which are these red stamps, and they come in clear mount and wood mount. If you order the wood mount, each stamp comes with its own wooden block. This is just one of the stamps that I have that is a wood mount stamp. If it was a set of stamps, each stamp would have their own individual wood block. The clear mount comes like this, and with these you just get the stamp set and then you use the acrylic blocks, and Stampin' Up! Also sells the acrylic blocks. The wood mount, they're more expensive, but you don't have to worry about the acrylic blocks. In the long run, if you're planning to stamp over a period of time, this is going to be more economical. You buy the acrylic blocks and you use them with all the different stamps, and they do make different sizes. The third type of stamp is the photopolymer, or the clear. This is a set that I have that's photopolymer, and they are absolutely clear, and it's probably the easiest stamp to stamp with because you can see exactly what you're stamping. However, the catalog, some stamps come in the classic rubber, some come in the photopolymer. You just have to see which one you like. But so that's our different types of stamps that I wanted to go over with you. Now, to make cards, there's all kinds of different ways you can make cards, but basically you're going to start out with a card base. And a card base is just a regular piece of paper, a 8.5 by 11 size paper, cut in half usually. So this is cut in half on the 11-inch side, making it 8.5 by 5.5, and then you would fold this in half just like that, and you could either have a card going this way or a card going that way. The other way to cut your paper is to cut it in half lengthwise, or at the 8.5 piece. So then you would end up with 2 pieces, 4.25 by 11, and you would fold it in half this way, just like that. Now, some people call this the hot dog fold because a hot dog is long. Some people call this the hamburger fold because a hamburger is more round, or so. You can see the difference. It comes out to be the same size, but whichever way you want your card to open up. Now, one thing that is so awesome about Stampin' Up!, and we're going to start, let's see, this is the card base I want. One thing that's so awesome about Stampin' Up! Is everything color coordinates. If you go to a craft store and you purchase paper and ink and paper with a pattern, you may or may not get your colors to match. Stampin' Up! In the back of the catalog, you can see all of the different colors we have, and then the paper, the designer series paper or DSP is going to coordinate. All of the colors are going to coordinate, and it tells you what colors are in that paper. So that's one thing that is really awesome about Stampin' Up! Is you know that every shade is going to match, and it's going to color coordinate the ribbon, accessories, things like that. So that's one of the things that I love about Stampin' Up! Now let's talk a little bit about ink. Stampin' Up's inks are dye-based ink, water-based dye ink. Like I said, they color coordinate with the paper, and this is a stamping pad. They all store with the ink pad down so that the ink doesn't settle to the bottom. So the way you open this is you push this away, you're going to flip it over, and then you're going to lock it in place just like that. And that's how you open the ink pad. To close it, you're going to pull this little lip, flip it back over, and lock it in place. Now the card that I'm making is going to be a thinking of you card, praying for you. I have an aunt, a special aunt that is in, she fell and broke her ankle, and she's in some long-term care situation. And I wanted to send her a card, and I said this would be a perfect card to show you, because we're just going to do a simple card using stamps, ink, and paper. And by the way, I forgot to tell you, this cardstock that I'm using is called Whisper White, and it's great for card bases. The stamp set I'm going to use is called Thoughts and Prayers. This has been in the catalog, I'm not sure exactly what year it started, but it has been in the catalog for a few years. But it's got some great sayings. I love these designs here. We are going to be using Early Espresso ink and Old Olive ink. We're also going to be using Memento ink for our greeting. And I've already shown you my card base. It is just a standard card base cut in half at 5.5 by 8.5 and folded at 4 1/4. The papers we're going to use, a piece of Old Olive cut at 3 7/8 by 3 5/8. A piece of Whisper White cut at 3 3/4 by 3 1/2. And that's one thing, to make your cards just look more elegant and make things pop, you can layer up the paper. And with this one, I just wanted that thin border just to make this Whisper White pop. And then we're going to be using a piece of designer series paper out of the Daisy Delight designer series paper, and it is cut at 2 by 5 1/4. A lot of times we refer to designer series paper as DSP. So now to stamp, and you can see I've already got my stamps mounted on my clear blocks, and like I said, they come in different sizes to fit the stamps. The first thing that I'm going to stamp is the image of the tree. Now, the way I want to do this, I want to give it a two-tone look. So I'm going to take my Old Olive, I'm going to turn my tree over. When you have a larger image like this, you can take the stamp pad and put it on the stamp. So I'm just going to kind of ink up those leaves in Old Olive. I got a little bit on my tree trunk, but that's okay. Set that to the side, and then I'm going to take my Early Espresso, and I'm going to be very careful. I just want to get that trunk. Just going to ink up. All right. So now we're going to turn our stamp over, center up our image on the paper. I'm also using the Stampin' Up! Grid paper. This is great to help you make sure things are straight and line up your stamp. And there's my image. I've got a little bit of white here. That's okay. Remember, this is handmade. It's not going to be perfect. So now I'm going to layer these pieces up. I'm going to use some of our snail adhesive. There's all different kinds of adhesive. I'll have to do another video about all the different types of adhesive. But today I'm using the snail, and I'm just going to make sure I've got that border. If you've cut your paper even, if you make sure the border is even on 3 sides, then that 4th side is going to line up. Now, I'm going to take my card base. I'm going to put this Designer Series paper right here on the edge. But before I do that, I'm going to make sure that everything's lining up like I want it to. My little greeting is going to go right down here. I'm going to put this praying for you right here in this corner. So let me go ahead and put that down because it is lining up. Now see, this is one thing about our paper is all double-sided. Look at that gorgeous paper. I'm having to cover it up, but oops, let's turn that over right. Make sure you got your snail going the right way. So this is going to go right here on the edge. If y'all hear any talking in the background, Blair, my daughter, is watching TV. She is, quote, doing her movies. And when she does her movies, she is practicing her acting skills. She has Down syndrome, by the way. She's 25. She'll be 26 this year. But she keeps us entertained, I promise. Alright, so I'm just going to put that there. Now, my little greeting is going to go down here. It says praying for you. Now, I'm using the Memento ink. This is a black ink. I really like this ink, especially for greetings. Now, this is one thing I wanted to show you. When you're inking up your stamps, don't bear down and, you know, you're not doing chest compressions. Just a tap, 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 just to make sure that your stamp is inked up. And I do want to make sure I've got this straight. So I'm going to use my grid paper again, and I'm just going to put this down. And that looks pretty straight. So I'm going to ink it up again. And I'm going to put praying for you right here. All right. Now, I want to put a sentiment on the inside of the card. And I liked this one that said, sending thoughts of love and praying for the Lord to sustain you with bright and restful days. That is a longer piece. And I'm about to drop my ink pad. So I'm going to ink it up again. I was practicing to make sure I got it on there straight, but let me just make sure. Okay, so it looks like it's going up a little bit. Yeah, if I bring it like that, does that? No, that doesn't help either. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to adjust my stamp. And that's okay. That's what you've got. And you don't have to use grid paper. You can use just plain copy paper. Alright, so let me try it one more time. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to turn this over and do it this way. Smaller stamps, I take the stamp to the pad. Larger stamps, take the pad to the stamp. So I'm just going to stamp this here. Alright. I'm not real happy. That smudged a little bit. Alright, there's no mistakes in stamping. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take another piece of Whisper White, and this is, I've already got this cut to 4 by 5 1/4, but I'm going to show you something. I'm going to take a stamping sponge. We're going to cover that up. I'm going to stamp on this first. And try not, what happened here, I rocked my stamp. It didn't, I didn't do a good image. So let's ink it up again. Okay. So got my card straight. I hope my head's not in here. I'm making sure. So I'm going to stamp down. All right. That did really good. Okay. So now, what I want to do, y'all remember that tree? Where's our tree? This is one thing that I love about Stampin' Up. We can make our custom cards. I'm just going to put a little bit of that branch there. So I'm going to get my old olive. Stamped it up. I'm not worrying about the trunk being in it. I'm just going to put some of these branches right there. Now look how nice that looks. All right. Now another trick. See, when I put this on here, it looks okay, but it doesn't really pop. I'm going to take a stamping sponge, and these come in a big round circle, and they come 3 to a pack, and they're like $3.95. They're very inexpensive, but you can cut them into wedges. And then I'm going to take some of that old olive and just put some on my sponge, and I'm just going to sponge those edges. Just lightly going around the edge. And when you see the difference this makes when I put it on the card, y'all are almost going to think I did that on purpose. Now, that's how that looks. So let's put am I out? No. Come on. There we go. So I'm going to put this here. Just like that. And there's my card. Praying for you. Sending thoughts. Oh, and what about an envelope? We can make the envelope match as well. Let me get one. So here's my envelope. Now let's carry this branch. So I'm just going to ink that up. I'm going to put a little bit more of the tree. I think I'm going to do this side just right here in the corner. Just like that. And now I've got a quick and easy card that I'm going to be sending to my aunt to let her know I'm thinking about her. I hope it makes her smile. And I hope that you've gotten some good tips today on stamping and how to put a card together. Some information about Stampin' Up. If you don't have a Stampin' Up demonstrator and you are interested in learning more about stamping, or you would like to order, I would be happy to be your demonstrator and help you with your stamping and paper crafting needs. My website is www.southernaccents.stampinup.net. And if you have any questions about why that's named that way after watching my video, I don't know, because I do have a Southern accent. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know how you liked it. Thank you.